Almost 2 months since the fire that killed over 70 people in the hijacked building in Marshalltown in Johannesburg, and the inquiry has begun. The Commission of Inquiry is divided into two parts, and the first is dealing directly with the fire that occurred at 80 Albert Street. Acting Joburg EMS Chief Rapulane Monageng told the Commission today that although it was known that the building was a problem, residents would get hostile when inspectors tried to enter the premises. Much of the changes made to the interior of this hijacked building, makeshift partitions, narrow corridors and fire escape turned into a dwelling, not only made the building more flammable, but also made it really hard to escape on that awful night. I'm joined now by Advocate Thulani Makhubela, who speaks for the Commission. Advocate, thank you so much for joining us. Just listening to those early reports today just brings back the absolute horror of what those people went through, and I think affirms that it's important we get to the bottom of it, not just for this building, but also for the second part of this inquiry, which will look generally at the problem of hijacked buildings here in Johannesburg. This process, it's taken 2 months to get off the ground. You were hoping to start it a month ago. What caused the delays exactly?
Well, good evening, and thank you very much for the opportunity. I think as the Justice and the Chairperson of the Commission indicated earlier before we started the inquiry today, we do want to apologize for starting with these proceedings late into the month. We were supposed to have started at the beginning of October, but due to some administrative issues, which were really beyond the control of the Commission, we had to start late. But we have started now. We're quite excited about that, and I think we want to be very fastidious in the manner in which we deal with the issues that are in front of us. We have seen at least about 4 witnesses today. They've been led by the evidence leader, Advocate Semenya SC, and there's really very interesting evidence that has come out of those witnesses, and we're looking forward to more. There is a lot of interest that has been shown to the Commission itself through our Secretariat. There's been a lot of submissions, and we still hope to get more, because we want to get to the bottom of what caused the fire, and in the event there is somebody that has to be held accountable, we want to be able to get evidence grounded that is going to enable us to make those recommendations. Some
people would say, well, ultimately this building was owned by the city of Johannesburg. Surely it's their fault. Not that simple?
It is not that simple. The issue of hijacking of buildings in the city, and in fact not only in the city of Johannesburg, quite frankly throughout the country, is a very serious issue. I know that in certain instances the city has tried without success to trace owners of buildings, and of course without having to find the owner of the building, you are unable to basically take it over. So that is one part. But the other part is that there is just prevalence of hijacking of buildings throughout. So we do not want to preempt at this point who has to be held accountable. I think all of that has to be grounded on the evidence that is submitted to us, and at that point we'll then make the necessary recommendations as to who has to be held accountable and who has to bear the responsibility.
Could this lead to criminal charges?
Well, of course, it may not lead to criminal charges. As I've said, we are an evidence-driven commission. We want to base our findings on the evidence that is submitted to us, and it is on the basis of that evidence that we'll make such determination.
And you mentioned that the Commission is also going to hear from people who managed miraculously to survive that fire. Is it possible that they could bring legal action themselves? Are they speaking to lawyers?
Well, some of the victims are legally represented. There is a law firm that is representing them in the Commission itself. They have indicated an interest in cross-examining some of the witnesses that we saw today. So there certainly is no lack of representation on the part of the victims and the survivors of that tragedy. So it is basically going to be upon them to make a determination on how to take the matter forward.
So the Part A, which is dealing with this fire in Albert Street, is clear. Your mandate is to see who, if anyone, can actually be held responsible for what happened. But the Part B, for me, seems a lot more murky, because it's very difficult to manage these hijacked buildings. And What is your mandate? What are you there to find out? I mean, what light will the Commission shed? We know that it's problematic. We know that it's illegal, that people pay illegal landlords to stay there. We know that they're not safe buildings. What are you hoping to achieve through Part B?
Well, it is not only murky. It is going to be very difficult, and it is going to possibly lead to a lot of contestation. Obviously, we anticipated that when we looked into the terms of reference. So Part B is basically to look into the prevalence of the hijacking of buildings within the city of Johannesburg. Secondly, it is to look into who actually is doing this and who's benefiting out of it, and what could be the steps that the city and the province itself can take to curb this from going further than where it is now. We do not think it's going to be a very an easy task. We know it's going to be difficult. We know that it is going to be a struggle to even get to the bottom of some of the kingpins of the hijackers themselves. But there's been a lot of interest, as I've indicated, that has been shown. There's a lot of people that want to make submissions, and we hope through those submissions we'll be able to, based on the evidence that is given to us, based on the law, based on everything else that will be submitted to the Commission, make a call and recommendations to the Premier, which recommendations would enable the province to deal with this issue. It is an issue, quite frankly, Sally, that is all over the country. It is not unique to the city of Johannesburg. It is not unique to Gauteng as a province. It is all over the country. So this is going to be seminal, and I think it is going to be a blueprint that the entire country could actually utilize to deal with this issue that is faced, that we are faced with.
Of course, we know that there are bylaws, they're problematic building bylaws, they're things that are meant to be done, but we know that authorities aren't always allowed into these buildings, or, and this is the more sinister side of it, someone gets a payoff to not look into it. Let's hope that the Commission is able to delve into that possible side of this very murky problem as well. All right.
We definitely hope so. We're quite confident that we'll be able to come up with evidence that will enable us to make recommendations that are going to help the province going forward.
Okay, so 6 months to do your work. We'll definitely keep an eye on that. Thank you so much for explaining it to us. And that, of course, is Advocate Thulani Makhubela. He speaks for the Commission into Hijacked Buildings and, of course, that Albert Street fire.